Time after time, we've seen antics from football players, coaches, and owners, and this has evidently impacted on the way football game has been played over time. And over time, we can say antics can be described as an unusual bad behavior that creates an imbalance among a particular set of people. And over time, we've seen antics on the field of play. We've had the likes of Mario Balotelli, Ronaldinho, Tony Adams, Paul Gascoigne, all of them playing at antics, including Antonio Conte and Jose Mourinho. And this is another edition of Offside brought to you by Arsenal fans. And how me, your regular guys. I have Danny, the Manchester United man, and Mickey, the man that will always say blues always.
Blues never lose.
Okay, blues never lose. So today I'm being neutral, but we're going to be looking at a couple of stuff that has to do with antics in football. Antics, we've seen them affect the way the game is being played over time. And one of the key ones that is really affecting football today, in present day, is the antics of Joe Barton. You will know that Joe Barton was a player that was feisty. He had this attitude on the pitch. He can even cost his team a game by just going to take an unnecessary red card.
Yeah.
I've also seen antics from the likes of Bellingham recently. Each time he loses, he's a bad loser. He doesn't want to lose. And the question is, how does this affect the balance of the game? Starting with you, Danny. Now look at the case of Joe Barton. Joe Barton had this antics where he said some awful things about Eniola Aluko, former Three Lions of England player, and Lucy Ward.
Yeah.
Both of them are working as pundits with ITV, and he described them as serial killers. And so the entire world came against him saying, why would you say this kind of thing? And don't forget that during his playing times that he had this feisty and nasty scenarios with Gary Neville. And Gary Neville is also a pundit. And Gary Neville said that this is not good. And Gary Neville was taking his cue from what ITV said. They said this is contemptible and shameful. And Gary Neville decided to say, look, that this is something that affected the sister and also the mother back in the days when the mother was playing football. But this guy, Barty, he's never going to give up. He came back biting. And look, that he's going to finish the entire Gary Neville family and all that. So what's your take about Joe Barton's antics when it comes to really misbehaving? Even as a pundit, he's still not giving up.
Well, for me, when I look at the article, I take a look at the article based on what he said. Before, I was thinking like, why would you compare someone like who is a couple that we are famous serial killers during the 90s to Aloko and
Lucy Ward.
So I was wondering why would you do something like that? Because for me, Barton, I know like I will say like he's a critic, but a very, I wouldn't say bias, but I would say someone who is moved by emotion. Most of his decisions are carried away by his emotions.
Emotion, right?
Yeah. And I think one of the reasons why he made those hilarious comparison is maybe because he said, he referred to them as serial killer because he thought like exactly what they are doing are actually killing the game out there. And instead of them, because he's expecting as a footballer, when you become a pundit,
Yeah.
you need to know how you need to analyze.
Create a balance.
Yeah, create a balance. Because you wouldn't want to be in a situation where you criticize someone and even you as a footballer,
like you never found yourself in
yeah,
that
like you were
before.
never in that position before. So I think using that word might not be so cool at all. You will find like a more suitable word to use instead of doing that type of comparison. But that's Joey Barton for everybody. He always like to be on the edge.
Okay, Mickey, on your part, based on what Danny said, can we say that his challenge is his choice of words, that it doesn't, because you talked about emotion. Emotion also can affect the way you make your statement,
Sure.
the way you react to situations. So do you really think that is the key word, or Joe Barton is just an eccentric guy?
I think he's a man that is very much full of impulses, very much impulsive, always want to react. Sometimes you have to let go, because until you understand or you give yourself that break or that patience for you to see where this man is coming from, then you can overlook things. But the moment somebody says something you want to react, you give yourself no time like he's making a very good point. He wants also getting able to understand that you've been in the pitch, you've played
You
football,
did worse of things.
and you know
Yeah.
what it is to be in the pitch. So don't just go out there and follow the trend like you're just a pundit you've never. And most of these pundits, they go harsh. I don't know, because of their own personal biases or what. Yeah, sometimes they go harsh on players. You see, especially young players now, they don't even give you that whatever they say about them on the media. You see players coming out, they use their own Twitter handle, their own Facebook pages or whatever to respond. So even pundits or coaches or managers.
Like the case of Mikel Obi and this guy,
Jackson. Yeah. So when Mikel said something he was angry with, he used his own platform and came back and hit. So these are impulsive behavior, and like you said, this is not the first time for batting. But this is something that he needs to work on. He was too harsh. His response was so negative.
They refer to him as someone who strongly dislikes women and then he's unhinged, like an unbalanced person. Yeah, someone who is like.
All of his judgment will come just because of his impulsive. He always wants to react. So you don't let go.
So basically, he doesn't think before he reacts. He allows his emotion to overrule his sense of reason.
React, and after that, maybe if you come back at him, he wants to go until the end. He's not that man that wants to say, okay, let's go.
One thing I understand from the criticism that is going on online these days, you get less views for positive criticism.
Yeah.
If you decide to like be saying good things about players all the time, people don't follow your page. Once you start posting bad things about other players, people start to follow and try to understand what is this guy trying to say.
I agree with you.
Take for instance like the comments this guy Fabrizio Romano made with regards to Ronaldo calling Lamine Yamal a kid. He was trying to overemphasize on what Ronaldo really meant when he said something like that.
But young man, he's a kid.
But he's a kid.
He's a kid.
As far as I'm concerned,
he's not even a legend in the game.
Yeah, it's not about the age. Look at Ronaldo's son and Lamine Yamal. They are not far off.
They're not far off, yeah.
I can say they are age mates.
Just 3 years. This boy should be 14.
Yeah.
And Yamal is
he's turning 18. So turning 18 now.
What are you talking about? So he's a kid.
Yeah. So like you're saying, he's making a point here. So coming also to the media, is it all about catching crews, about really coming with objective analysis? So that's where also, because at the end of the day, they have to check their trends, they have to check their likes and see what the returns they get making this podcast or being on here.
Looking at the traction, people are following them.
And that's very much attractive. Whenever you come out and say negative things.
So guys, we need to start saying things negative.
We cannot go on that.
I think from my own side, I can never be that.
It has to be objective.
Yeah,
even if we are going to criticize, it has to be objective. But this also, we cannot overrule it. Yes. These are things maybe they will do behind the scenes or whatever they discuss it. That if we can come up with something controversial, then everybody wants to respond to our page or to our likes and what, then you got the media. Yes. Yeah. So in that response, people follow up on your. Okay,
we'll look at all that things and we'll now look at what we'll be looking at as the panacea to solve these things. So the other one has to do with Jude Bellingham. Over time, we've seen him playing for Real Madrid. Suddenly, he used to be the page boy of England team. All of a sudden, you see the way he reacts. He's chasing referees. He's doing stuffs. Okay, look at the recent match against the Teranga Lions of Senegal. You lost. Good. You scored a goal that was ruled. They ruled it out because there was a foul. So all you needed to do, put your head down, because what you were doing on the pitch can ruffle your teammates.
Sure. And
just look at what Thomas Tuchel said. He said, my mother even says he's repulsive. So that is Thomas Tuchel's mother reacting to that. So it's a two barrage questions now. I'm coming to you with this, Mickey. Do you think it was ideal for Thomas Tuchel to come out in the media and say what the mother says, or rather said, about his player? Because this is your player, this is your team. You're supposed to harness them, bring them together in unison. What he's doing, this young man, Jude Bellingham, on the other hand, can be seen as positive because he's trying not to lose and he's trying to get his players on the edge for them to go out there and fight fiercely in order to gain victory. But somehow it can also be repulsive. Let me borrow the word of Mama Tuchel. It can be repulsive because the teammates will say, why are you behaving as if you are the only one playing? Like we have in United, where you see the The typical Bruno Fernandes is trying to
Always.
tell everybody, look, you are not doing what. There was an incident that I can't forget that Anthony was supposed to give him a pass. Anthony did not give him a pass. In the bit of trying to dribble, he lost the ball. And you could see the guy, being petulant on the pitch and using his hand. Anthony too saying, he would have said, look, you too. Whatever that means, you too.
If you want, you give me.
So, do you think that this is ideal from the coach side? And do you think that Jude Bellingham's attitude can upset his team?
I've been listening to the coach. I think he had an interview with Talk Sports. That's where he revealed this. I think his observation or criticism was very much on point. But when he reached to the point of bringing the opinion of his mother about it, I think that's where he missed it. Yes, he missed it. Because it's like we've been talking about you. It's like these are judgments. It was like a judgment now. If you're bringing somebody to support it, or you're referring to somebody making a reference, it's like you've had that discussion over it, and it's a judgment. That's how he behaves. That's how he is. This is who he is. Even though at the end of it all, he was trying to say, look, it's not bad for him to have this kind of attitude, this kind of hunger, this kind of thoughts, but it will be in the positive light if it is against the opponent. Against the opponent in the pitch. If you go this kind of conduct, this kind of hunger, but not with your teammates. Or with your colleagues, it's not go well. It's not good at all. Not. But I feel the only place where I got it wrong is bringing the opinion
of the mother.
I think that raised eyebrow, and I think that confidence or trust. If I had conversations with you, behind the scenes or whatever, I don't want it to come always in the spotlight. Now he's also put his mom's opinion in the spotlight. So I don't know how Bellingham will be looking at it. So as a player, maybe I sit and think maybe Tuchel and his mother, they sit all day and talk about me. They talk about me, yes. And so if he's bringing to the media, it's something that they've been discussing. So then if I go to the training ground, I've got to be very much cautious. Maybe some form of panic, or you might be thinking, what have they been saying today also? Or
so each time you
breakfast, yes.
Each time you wear the national team jersey and you move on to the pitch, you're saying, what am I going to do today that I know?
You'll be thinking, saying, what will they be saying about me after the game with his mother? Are they going to say this again? Are they going to say that? So I think that opinion,
very hard to
that opinion of the mother, bringing it out to the public, I think he got it wrong. He should have been just give out his own opinion. Then I think everybody should have got it. Yes. But bringing out that woman's opinion.
So, and for Jude Bellingham's attitude, you think it is something that brings a positive impact on the team?
Well, as the manager advised, if it is against the opponent, it's something that will yield. But if it is something that has to hinder the progress, like we saw in that game, it's not something we should continue because it will hinder the
Okay, Danny, if it is against the opponent, it's something that is good, that portends progress. But how do you think that Jude Bellingham can react and not unbalance his teammates? Because all of us are going together. We've just considered a goal. We needed to find our balance going forward and work in unison to get an equalizer and go out to win the match. And this is you here, just kicking everything inside, chasing referee. Do you think that attitude would all go well for the team? Judging from one of your key players, his attitude.
Let me just give an instance. I think what has changed with Bellingham is the fact that he has moved from a team that not used to winning to a team that plays on a bigger stage. So in those cases, it changes your entire mindset about how you think and how you foresee things, because you feel at this point you needed some special treatment. For instance, like with Wayne Rooney, when he was playing at Everton, he wasn't that aggressive. He can lose a game and then still go home and accept the loss. But when United signed him, he came in, he was just like Bellingham. Bellingham is typical Wayne Rooney at a very younger age. If I can remember, we played Villarreal. When they gave him a yellow card, he was clapping against the referee because he thought like what the referee did wasn't fair. So the referee had to give him a red card. He was sent off. But it all boils down to the coach, how can you be able to manage this? It's a good thing, it's a good thing to have a mentality in the inside of you, like that burning fire, like, I don't want to lose. No one wants to lose except otherwise. It's something that pushes us to a point wherein we can be great and better people in life. Like, Ronaldo has gotten this far. It's because he don't like to lose. So Bellingham can still be anybody in life. But that same attitude can also dampen his future. It can destroy him along the way. If he decides to, like, how will I say, use it in a very bad way. When he starts costing the team, the coach will start frowning at it, and then they will just show him the door. That would be very bad for him. But it's all boils down to the coach. If the coach knows how to manage situation in cases like this, I would say, like, this might be like the first time it's happening when he's playing for England, if I'm correct. So what I'm expecting him to do at that point, after the game, you can call it, I know it was hard seeing your team lose and seeing the bad that you represent and love so much when they are losing. But nonetheless, you also need to consider certain factors when you're making rash decision on the field. How it's going to impact your fellow players and what the critics are going to say out there. Even though at some point you might not care about what people have to say about you, but those pundits, with the way the social media trend is going these days, it seems like football is being controlled by the media itself. And when people start saying bad things about you, it affects your playing time on the pitch. I've seen a lot of players being washed down the drain because of one bad thing or another. And these younger players, if they don't take their time on how they are handling the winning mentality, how they are handling the opposition, it's going to be very bad for them. Because if you think like, and there's something called sportsmanship also. If you're losing, you should know, like, today is not your day. The other team is far better than you. Take it. Yeah.
Okay, now, there's something that you said. You said he wasn't like this before. So now there's a saying by sociologists that man is a product of his environment.
Sure.
Now, do you think him moving to Real Madrid has really affected him? Because we could also recall that Real Madrid players have this feisty, nasty way of reacting to referees officiating on the pitch, especially when they're playing against Barcelona. We also recall that during the days of Jose Mourinho coaching Real Madrid, he infuriated the players. You could see Iker Casillas and Sergio Ramos, what's the name of this other guy now that used to play for Barcelona, saying that, look, when we get to the national team, we're one family. But playing against each other in the league is like we're enemies. That this shouldn't happen. It got to a point, a boiling point, where Iker Casillas is like, look, this should not continue. Because Jose Mourinho groomed them to that point that, look, when you are playing against these guys, you should not go there and be friendly. Kick them. You could see this guy, Ramos, wrestling Messi. You see Pepe wrestling Nesta and doing all sort of stuff on the pitch, and he will be pretending as if he's the one that has been injured. So do you really think that he going to Real Madrid changed his entire, spectrum of the way he sees the game? Because we saw this same attitude during the Champions League. Every stage of the Champions League, anywhere the referee, you see him, he's one that will react, he'll go to scream and do stuff. They lose, he's not happy. So do you think he going to Real Madrid affected his game?
Like, going to Real Madrid, I think this was something that was in Bellingham, not even in Real Madrid. It just amplified it. It just exposed. You know, sometimes you got some traits, but because of your environment, you're not able, to execute it. Nobody can see it now, that potential or what. But going to Real Madrid, where everybody's hungry, the competition is high, then it's exposing that, oh, this is Bellingham. Years back, he was like the star man for Real Madrid. This has been a very difficult season for him and also his club. And you see how they struggle, how they were embarrassed by Barca, left, right, and center for this season. Even though, you see, before the Clasico games, you see, they make statements that we're not even sure of this ref. They go out, you see against Arsenal, we are coming back. Yes. Remontada, we are coming back. We'll do this, and other thing. And they were embarrassed. So, come with that attitude to the national team. It's not also a bad one. like Tuchel said, it's not a bad one. But if you have to take it against your fellow players, then it will get to backlash. This will bring divisions, even in the team. Or some players thinking, oh, because you play for Real Madrid, that is the reason why. So when it comes to the national team, just give what you get. Just see how best you collectively play with your colleagues. Because you're all coming from different teams, different systems, different formations of play, different clubs, rankings and all. So if one has to take his ego above the other, then the team will not perform. That's all what Tuchel is communicating there. If you want this impulsive, this hunger, let it not be against your teammates. Let it just be against your opponents. So encourage your teammates to see how best you can work together. If I'm doing the runs for Sancho or for Madueke, let him be in that position to realize that, oh, Bellingham is doing the run, let me do the pass. So communicate that. If he does not pass, you start yelling or what, or you fall down, the red does not blow. This is not Madrid. You're not in a Madrid jersey. When you're in a Madrid jersey, maybe it can be influenced in the Spanish league, but in the National League, no, nobody cares. I see in England.
Anyway,
so you don't realize
antics is antics. Now, we're now coming to the issue of antics is everywhere. Sports writers, the sport media, they also create their own furor of antics. Now, we saw a phenomenal player in Ronaldo scoring for Portugal. That is a player that they would have given his say bye bye and good night. We've done well. They at 40 years old, the guy brought Portugal from the dead. And against Spain, even though he was playing well and he was substituted, you could see him on the touchline still giving his players that moral support. And yet, some people in the media feel he has not done enough to deserve the flowers that should be given to him. He's not only the 40-year-old also that have done that. We saw Santi Cazorla at 40 playing for Oviedo. He scored the goal that brought them back to the La Liga. So what do you have to say about the way, because you mentioned it from the start that the media too are not helping matters in the way they criticize players. So where do you think the place of Ronaldo is in football history? Has it done well to deserve more accolades, more flowers, even as he continues to play and leading Portugal to the next level?
It's the reason why they call him the GOAT. Because he has done all sorts of things when it comes to football. He has changed the narrative of football. Ronaldo was playing as a winger when he started, as a midfielder when he started in Man United. Moved to Real Madrid, started playing as an attacker, one of the left wing. So it gets to some point, he noticed like, oh, I'm getting old. I can't play at this point anymore because I don't have the pace and the energy to do so. Let me just convert myself to a central forward. And that's he did. So if there is nothing else you want to like think you should applaud the man for, I think that should be enough. Because if you look at all the positions he has played, how many players do you know that have actually transformed themselves from one point to another on a gradual basis and yet still they keep scoring goals?
Especially leaving the Premier League,
yes,
turn the game and
score goals as a very old player. The guy won the Golden Boot for the Saudi Pro League. He actually helped Al Nassr to win that trophy, that Asian stuff or something. Took them to a few finals, even though I know his team is not that good enough, but nonetheless, they keep proving points every day on a bigger stage. Like, listen, I can do it. When I was watching that game at that time, the guys that I was sitting with, they were complaining, just take Ronaldo off the pitch. I say, you don't even understand. I say, now you are condemning Ronaldo. You're asking the coach to take him off. I say, soon he's going to prove you wrong. And then he scored
just one chance.
Just one chance. That's how the guy is. No matter
that
how
chance was not a clear-cut
chance. It's not.
You have to play the ball behind the defender.
The guy is very smart. He knows where the ball will be.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what he did. Cucurella was just fighting himself the entire time. Say, look, let me just collect this ball and put it inside the net. No matter what pundit has to say, it's always normal. No matter how you decided to do things in life, people will still think you haven't done enough. It's a normal thing. But for me, my own point, I think like Ronaldo has done more than enough to actually deserve the praises that he gets or is getting every single day. He deserves every single bit of it.
Wow.
I think
So-
you asked a very important question. Why is Ronaldo not getting the flowers he deserves? I think one of the reasons with pundits or what is that Ronaldo, unlike Messi, is arch rival. Ronaldo, there was a point he began to respond to the opinion of pundits, which is very difficult for you to see his rival doing. Even to the extent, directly, whenever he comes up with interview, he even pick up or call out names. Look, of late, he's got his interview where an entire league, he classed that league to be below the standard of the Saudi leagues. All of these have backlash for any appointment or anything you say, any opinion of yours at that level.
So people,
It's of interest,
so the
yes.
media are using it as a payback time.
As a payback. So you see a lot of clash. You go into the World Cup, was it 3 years back or 4, taking out the Coke bottle and shifting out. You see the backlash for the company Coke. And Coke is sponsoring football. They've got pundits. These pundits, all of them, they're some way or the other behind the
Being
scenes.
paid, right?
They are being paid.
Right.
So if you got to respond to the opinions that they are giving you, you're gonna get this backlash. So the flowers don't just come. People have to give it to you. And for these people to give you these flowers, they have to be happy with you or see that you're on the same page with them. But notwithstanding, there's nothing you can say about Ronaldo. He has performed, he has proved everybody wrong. He believes in himself. That's the driving force about Ronaldo. So he doesn't care whether or not what you say. And when he goes to the pitch, you see that he delivers. And one of the things that Mourinho once advised, he said, don't say anything bad about Ronaldo. That was his own advice. Don't say anything bad. Okay, if you want to be critical, just know how to manage your words.
Because whatever
At
he
the end of the
says, he's
day,
always taken out of context.
it will deliver.
There is one thing I would say
It will deliver.
about Ronaldo and Messi, the difference between them when it comes to critics. Messi doesn't have a lot of criticism when it comes to.
Yeah,
People don't pay attention to him.
him.
Because take for instance like what Carragher did with Ronaldo. It wasn't like Ronaldo was going for him or he was going for him. No. He just he wanted to get the attention. The thing is, Ronaldo has social media presence more than Messi. The only reason why Messi is still out there is because of he played that well. Had it been not for football, Messi wouldn't have been out there.
That's true.
Ronaldo had that presence.
Ronaldo is just like the poster boy.
Yes, everybody, there is a presence with him.
Yes, his body
everywhere he
language,
goes.
what he wears.
Yes.
People want to talk about it.
Messi, he hardly gets those type of criticism. Even when Messi doesn't play well in the French league, nobody said anything. But if Ronaldo had one bad season, or let's say if he had 2 games goalless, pundit will start saying things. Messi played, he scored 7 goals. So I'm telling you, I'm saying what I'm trying to say is Messi doesn't get more critic as compared to Ronaldo.
No, Messi got criticism so far. He lost 2
finals.
He lost 2 finals. And the entire media was bashing.
No, those were his own people. Yeah. Those were his own people.
No, not just the media, not Argentina.
So
a lot of backlash.
Basically,
but there was no point wherein he came out and responded. You see, even the World Cup, Ronaldo, after the bad World Cup with Portugal and all of these things, he had even issues with the manager at the time. He came out and responded. So you don't see these things coming from Messi.
So basically,
if you keep responding, you get the backlash.
The pen is mightier than the sword.
How can you, in your right senses, take Ronaldo and bench Ronaldo for Goncalo Ramos?
Well, Tyrant did the same thing. He said because he's a big player. That was bench. They suffered 7-0.
Yeah, that's why he had to be. That's why we showed him the door.
Just keep it out, and yes, United is not a good. It's not a perfect club, right? But you
at the moment,
yes, no. Even when Ronaldo was there, you were in the club. You were a veteran player. You got so much influence, right? Nobody knew whether Ronaldo was happy or sad. We only knew that after the interview with Piers Morgan.
Yes.
A lot of things were given.
When he lost the daughter,
yeah,
and nobody bothered to call him.
So a lot of things happened behind the scene we never knew. But when he did the interview with Piers
one thing I know about Ronaldo is the fact
that
how will I say?
So
Ronaldo is an open-minded.
So my question will be: is
who
he
likes
that
to say his
influential?
opinion?
Because you can influence things at the back of the scene.
No. Let me tell you something.
Ronaldo,
Man United problem is bigger than Ronaldo put together. Let me tell you something. This team has been there for a very long time. If you listen to Rashford, you tell you that there are certain sets of people who keep Anthony Martial in Man United team simply because the daughter said, please don't sell him. You keep Antonio Macha, a injury-prone player. He was there for a very long time.
Okay.
And you're still paying
But
him
going
that
to the
amount of
media
money.
and exposing all of that, is that the solution?
It wasn't wrong for us. I think
Was that
like
the
for me
solution?
as a Man United supporter, I think it's
Well,
a
it's
win
only
situation for
escalated
us.
It's only escalated because no every management or every institution has its own challenges. And going to the media is not just about okay, I can say something about Eric now. But if somebody wants to intervene or see what's wrong,
Why
with
do you
Eric,
think we are
it has to
investing
go
5
beyond.
billion?
It has to go beyond Eric. Are you getting that?
Okay.
It has to go beyond Eric.
Okay,
A lot of
okay,
things
guys.
on that.
Antics,
So it's
antics, antics. See, we're talking about antics, and this antics is everywhere. There's a flurry of antics everywhere. Now, the other one we're going to be looking at has to do with club side. We've seen a situation where a page boy or a star boy, a poster boy player for a club side is itching to leave. There are a lot of people, sending messages that, look, we want you to join our team. And the carrot is being weathered to them and they want to leave. And the club will say, no, just play for us one season. If you play for us one season, this is the amount. We'll just make sure this amount, anybody that brings this release clause will let you go. We had that with Victor Osimhen at Napoli. He was scoring goals. He was a poster boy of Napoli. In fact, they called him God. They called him a small God. Now, we also had the same thing with Benjamin Sesko. He was supposed to leave in January. Leipzig were able to convince him that, look, guys, stay. Play one more season with us. Last season. January came, Arsenal went back for him, and they said, look, they now increase his salary and said, okay, this is the amount that we're going to accept you to leave. Anybody that brings the amount, you go. Victor Gyökeres was scoring, banging in goals for Sporting Lisbon. They had the same agreement. And all of a sudden, the owners are reneging. They are not accepting. On one part, Sporting Lisbon owners say, no, we did not agree on a particular amount. And these guys say, no, we had an agreement that you go to allow me to leave for 67 million euro. Why are you upping the bar now? Why are you raising it? The same thing is happening to Benjamin Sesko. Now we have a fiasco with Victor Osimhen's case. Victor is, in fact, even know that he got an advice from Mikel Obi that, look, guy, whatever it is, make sure you play football consistently. That was why he had to choose going to Galatasaray.
Yeah.
Now, the issue of him moving from Galatasaray to any other club has become a big issue because Steve Flodden going left and right. So how do we handle this issue of antics? Because we've spoken about Joe Barton, spoken about the media, spoken about Jude Bellingham, spoken about a whole lot of stuff. This is affecting and killing the game. How do we resolve it?
I think we can't resolve it as antics. There are three major players when it comes to gentleman agreement with regards to players leaving or staying at the club. Yeah. You have your agent, you have the player, and then you have the team itself. One thing I understand from everything that I've read so far with regards to what is happening in those cases is the fact that sometimes for some team it's because of the financial gain. The owner tend to become very greedy and then looking at how many goals the players have scored and thinking about the in-demand of the player from other clubs and everything, I can get more money from this. And secondly, it can move to...
So the key word is greed.
Is greed. And another thing can be like a project. Maybe a new manager comes in. They think like, why do you have to sell this player? Do you know what this player can do for us in 5 to 6 years to come? Do you know the trophies that we are going to... Do you know what he is going to bring for the club? So he decided to say, no, I'm not selling anymore. But I think like the two people who are really, really responsible for this thing that has been happening all this while is the agents and the owner. Okay. If you tell me my player will be leaving at a price of 53,000 come next year, let it be documented. I think you can fight anything in court. Even though it's going to slow down the process and everything, but nobody wants to get that bad narrative out there saying this guy is a crook and everything and all those stuff.
Because it's all about belief, you trust. Yeah. These people have served them loyally and they've agreed, they've given me their words.
Thank you.
That this is what is going to happen. And when it's time, I feel that we should be able to honor that gentleman's agreement.
Yeah, when you talk about greed, you know who is at par? Who is in line? I think it's the agent.
Yeah.
The agent knows if they can sell a player for 75 million, 100 million, you know his percentage. That's an increment in his percentage.
Yeah.
You know what he's going to receive. I don't think clubs actually pin down players without having the agents on their side. We've seen that. So what they always try to do is they got the agents on their side.
I agree with you on that.
So once they got the agents on their side, they know that. Like another thing also.
So the player becomes the pawn.
The pawn.
That's
another
exactly
thing,
what
another
they
challenge
do.
also in this whole scenarios are it's not just about letting players go. You know, for now, replacing a player that is in form, that is one of your best players, is very difficult. You can go out there, okay, Hazard left Chelsea. Was it 2012, 2013? He's gone. We had $1 million and plus, but we've gone 5-6 years. Why is Hazard? We've not been able to replace. So the replacements also, we cannot just go and bash out clubs. The ability of you building one or getting one potential players, it comes maybe after every 5 or 10 seasons. To getting that top player, that star-like player in your team. Maybe it comes after every 5 or 10 seasons. It does not come manually. Like every year, if this man go, you got that star player coming up the other year.
Yeah, but
so these are all factors that they also consider on their own part. Likewise, but this should not be the factor that must hold the player. Like it destroys players' career when you hold them for long. Like Modi had more interest in going to Arsenal than Chelsea, but because of the club, he wants how many million?
No, it's not the club.
And Chelsea,
it's the agents.
Yes, it works with the club. They're always there in line.
No, I think I agree.
They're always working.
No, I agree with you in that regard. But one thing I don't agree with is the fact that you're telling me to replace the player is going to be really hard. That's not the player's problem.
Because
the thing is very simple.
It's not the player's problem, but
every player.
No,
yes, I know. Every player informs the club when they're about to leave. It's part of your contract that give us 1-2 years notice when you want to leave. It's very simple. And it's also inevitable for you to know, like when you're a smaller club or even a bigger club, if good suitors come knocking and the right price is paid, the player should leave. That's why every player has a price tag. So that shouldn't be like a brainer for someone to be staying in your club simply because you couldn't find another player to replace him. That's not their problem.
This is a global challenge. Now, how do you think that FIFA can come in? Because the agents have become very problematic. Because from what you said, the agents are the key people. It means that somehow they are getting paid from two sides. Guys, just be neutral and behave as if you are fighting this. Then you know United is coming with some more money, and Chelsea, what they are bidding for this guy is not that much. But let's just haggle around on this, and since we're getting more money, we should go for more money, even though we said we're going to allow him to go for lesser money, because that is the issue. So how do you think that FIFA can play a key role in solving this quagmire?
One thing I understand from everything that is going on is the fact that there is a political undertone to every single decisions those clubs are playing, and FIFA is well aware about it. The only problem is maybe they might be playing dumb, thinking like to let the public know that we don't know anything that is going on. Because one thing I understand is this: they are trying to build an environment where there is equal distribution of wealth, in the sense that if these smaller teams keep selling their star players for huge amounts of money, they will have more money. So when it comes in terms of like what is up, take for instance like what is happening with Al Ahly and Inter Miami, they couldn't sell more tickets because they are a smaller club to get the game, the type of momentum that they need for the opening ceremony. But if those teams has like more money, it can happen. More advertisements, more PR and everything can encourage their supporters to come in and then get those tickets and then get the type of attention that they are looking for. FIFA, on the other hand, I think it's their responsibility to be resolving issues like this, because they are focusing on a whole different thing while players are suffering, which is a very bad thing. And it's killing a lot of careers. They've got
different units, different departments. They should have a specific
these things,
that handles what the agents.
Something like this. Yeah. Because it shouldn't allow something, issues like this keep going on. And it has become habitual with most clubs owners. They are doing it and thinking I can do it for free and then I can still go scot-free, and the player will be the one suffering. You know, as a player, you think like, oh, I don't want my career to just end just like that. So I'd rather stay and play football, or maybe just accept whatever.
Anyway, so it's been a roller coaster day here in the studio. We're talking about the antics of players, coaches, owners, and what have you in the game of football. Mickey, what do you have to say now? Last word from you. I want you to react to what Danny said and give us what you think should be the panacea, because we'll discuss all these things in a wholesome manner, but we also need to provide what should be the key solution going forward.
Yeah.
Yes, with regards to the last question, I think the platform is there already. You've got the court of arbitration, and every club has their own policy. I don't think FIFA will just come in and make laws, because if they make a blanket laws, then it has to affect a whole lot of transactions and bureaucracy about it. So the only thing is, the agents must be honest with their players, because most of these things they get the agents on their side, like I told you. So if one to the extent and say this is what I will sell out the player for, let there be a written contract. So if they violate it,
Exactly.
you can take it to the court of arbitration and get the player to leave.
And FIFA should try to expedite
So
the process.
once that is clear, then I don't think we'll be getting this back and forth. But with regards antics, it's always that is one of the things that make the talking point, that make us to sit in the studio and analyze. We cannot take it off the game, and we should not take it off the game.
Okay.
Let it be there, so at least we can have a program like this and pundits come up.
Okay, you, Danny.
Yeah, I think like there is a saying like struggle and criticism are prerequisite to greatness. So if you are too scared of being criticized, there is no way you can get to the height that you want to be. And players shouldn't be afraid of criticism, but the problem is should be how they accept it.
Yeah.
It should be like a good acceptance. Okay, this guy said this. It might not be true, but let me just go back to the drawing board and see what this critic is saying, if it's true, and see how I can work around it and then become a better version of myself. So let the criticism stay, but I'll prefer a much more constructive criticism, which I think it's highly unlikely for something like that to happen in cases like today media, because everybody loves bad news. People just want to read bad news.
Bad news spreads faster.
Yeah, it spreads faster like a wind in the harmattan.
I know, right? Okay, you've heard it from the experts. They've given their opinion. We've really elucidated this issue of antics, and yet they came up with solutions. One, Nikki said, look, there has to be a written statement, especially when you're going to be having an agreement. You can take it to court of arbitration and all. The system is already there. It's just for them to bring it to the fore and make it more active. And you also see, Danny said, look, you can't take this away from it. You must be ready to take it on the chin. And so you must learn how to control your emotions going forward and create a balance. And so when you are criticized, what you need to do is go back to the drawing board, look at what you did not do correctly. If you want to shut your ears with some players, also yanking off their social media page and say, okay, look, for now, this year, I don't want to be on social media, and block everything that has to do with it. So I think it has to do with mentality. It has to do with the mindset of a player and what you choose to accept. You become the gatekeeper. What you choose to allow to affect you is what affects you.
Yes.
So just like they say, happiness is a state of mind. If you choose to be unhappy, it's just the way you decide to prepare your bed. You say, as you make your bed, so you lay on it.
Yeah.
So that's how it's been on this edition of Offside. We are always bringing you juicy, sassy. Just like Mickey said, we're not going to be negative in order to get traction. But just know that what we're doing here is to build a community together. And this is Danny of United and Mickey of Chelsea. And me. Come on, it is come on, you go now. So this edition, I just want to say, keep it tight. Don't forget to share, to like, to subscribe. It is the Offside.